on those waffles.
Columbus loves Apex Pros. The pros who knows. ApexPros.com.
Hey, it's Blazer. February's all about love, right? I got something you're really going to love. Right now, when you buy 2 windows, you get 2 free at Universal Windows Direct. You're also going to get 0% interest for 36 months, so you can upgrade your home now and spread out the payments with no added cost. And for a little extra love, you're going to get $500 off your home improvement project when you schedule this month. Call 614-502-5220 or go to universalwindowsdirect.com and schedule your free in-home estimate today. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
News Radio 610.
Mr. Zach, are you there?
Columbus.
From ABC News, I'm Chuck Sievertson. A warning from Iran and amid a U.S. military buildup in the Middle East. A day after President Trump gave Iran 15 days to get a negotiated deal over its nuclear program. In Tel Aviv, ABC's Ian Pannell.
It's warning that all U.S. bases, facilities and assets across this region would be, quote, legitimate targets. And also, I think, in a sign of the anxiety about the possibility of Iranian retaliation to any attack, U.S. officials confirming overnight that a number of U.S. troops may be moved out of their bases in the region.
Still no word about the missing mother of TV anchor Savannah Guthrie. In Tucson, Arizona, ABC's Melissa Adon.
The Sheriff's Department saying investigators are not ruling out the possibility that more than one person may be involved. But still, investigators have no new evidence.
Boys,
the Pima County Sheriff's Office saying it's actively reviewing thousands of tips. Current leads are coming up empty. Authorities briefing the family that the investigation may transition to a new phase with fewer resources, while a small task force remains assigned long-term.
Concern in the U.S. as measles cases keep rising to nearly 1,000.
I don't want you taking off your shirt and showing your guns.
Morgan Norwood.
Okay. Nearly 60% of cases are in children and teens ages 5 to 19, with another quarter in kids under 5, and almost all, about 94% of those infected, are either unvaccinated or their vaccination status is unknown.
Police officers searching the home of the former British Prince Andrew for a third day over his connection with Jeffrey Epstein. ABC News royal contributor Victoria Murphy.
The focus has shifted a lot, I think, onto this wider question for the royal family about who knew what and if anyone knew anything else. Generally, wider questions are very dangerous for the royal family right now.
You're listening to ABC News.
Lawsuit against local leaders in Northeast Ohio for a former police officer's sex crimes.
Former warrant officer Michael Edwards was convicted in 2024 of rape, extortion, and more involving half a dozen victims. He was accused of targeting vulnerable women while he was on the job in uniform. On top of his nearly 4-decade prison sentence, which is being appealed, there have been civil suits filed against Edwards by some of those victims. Now, a new federal lawsuit goes after the city of Warren and Police Chief Eric Merkel to the tune of $1 million. It says there was a pattern of behavior that was ignored. I'm Jack Crumley.
Governor DeWine has signed into law a bill that would provide more time to restore a defendant's competency for trial.
Ohio Senate Bill 295, known as the Competency Restoration Bill, would increase the time from 1 year to 3 years, during which a defendant's competency may be restored. The bill could have a direct impact on Delonte Hardy. Hardy had been found incompetent to stand trial for the July 2024 shooting death of Cleveland police officer Jamison Ritter, as well as the shooting death of Hardy's own grandmother the previous week. His current date for competency to be restored is March 23rd. I'm Brian Engel.
The road to the World Cup is coming through Northeast Ohio. The Browns announced this week that 2 of the world's top soccer teams will play to an American audience at Huntington Bank Field. The national teams from Brazil and Egypt will face off in Cleveland on June 6th. Peter Jean-Baptiste of Haslam Sports Group says this is exactly the kind of major events they want to bring to Greater Cleveland.
Last commercial before I start my
pre-thingy. We really take pride in hosting big events and bringing big events to this market so we can have a huge economic impact on the city and a huge community impact as well.
Tickets go on sale next Thursday. I'm Andy Betts.
Your latest news, traffic, and weather.
If you're not informed, then you're out of the loop.
All you have to do is ask.
Play 610 WTVN on iHeartRadio.
Get President's Day deals, even if you've never been president. At all 4 Kirkland Kia locations. Get 0% plus no payments for 90 days on select new Sorrentos, Sportages, and Tellurides. Or 3.99% on the all-new redesigned 27 Telluride. Visit CoglinKia.com.
Coughlin has the car for you.
All right, thank you.
Select in-stock units with approved credit through Kia Finance. 90-day deferred payments. Terms vary by model. 48-month on 25 Telluride. 60-month on 25 and 26 Sorrento. See dealer for details. Ends 3/2/26.
Have you heard Retirement Radio with Greg and Kristen Taylor?
Tax rates, I really believe,
I
are going to
have
be
to
the
bring flowers
downfall
to Ed
of a lot
every
of
week.
retirements.
Keep him not
because we thought we were going to have this much money to spend.
Thank
Knuckle
you.
Simp says, wait a minute. A lot of that money really belongs to me, so now I'm going to start collecting. Are you prepared for that?
We'll dive into the conversation more after the news at the top of the hour here on News Radio 610 WTVN and anytime at LegacyRetirementGroup.com.
If you're not here right now, why the heck aren't you? Guys, when I say there is a lot going on here today at 999 Bethel Road, LEPD, there is a lot going on. We got Glock days going. If you want to shoot the new Glock, come on in. You go up there. They have them all laid out, all the Gen 6s. U.S. Law Shield is here, bringing food, I hear, here shortly. You're not going to want to miss that. NRA has a table up there to talk about the importance of the election this fall, and talk to them up there. And then at 12:30, I am super excited about this. At 12:30, Jeff Asher is going to call into the show and talk about real stats on crime in America. And then, if that wasn't enough, at 12:50, we're doing the drawing for the $2,400 OA Defense 2011 right here on air. All that is up next on OnTarget.
Live from LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Good afternoon. Welcome to On Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. That's located at 999 Bethel Road. I'm your host, Eric JC. It is LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, contrary to the sign that blew off the side of the building last night that just says LD Firearms and Range.
LD.
So it's either that or Lori had a takeover and it's coming.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes, I don't know.
Have you been served papers yet?
I'm a little bit concerned about that, but yes, don't drive on by because the side of the building no longer says LEPD. But that's okay.
All right.
Guys, we are the owners of LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility and are active in law enforcement. But for 1 hour on Saturdays, we put together a group of firearm experts to discuss new products in the market, training tips, and oftentimes political topics surrounding the Second Amendment. Our commitment, though, has always been to bring you facts about our industry and help customers and listeners with safe, responsible ownership of firearm. Joining me today in the LEPD studios, JC. JC, I am super excited with some news, and I'm probably a little bit early in announcing this, but there's a chance we're going to be broadcasting live at OGCA in a couple months.
That is a very good possibility. So I don't know if you received your phone call.
I have not received it yet, but I'm optimistic.
He sent me one last night going, where's the number? And I went, oh, shoot. So I sent him the number, but it was at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, that's okay. So, I'm excited. That would be really neat.
And that would be at the May show, which would be the best show of the year because that is the display show, and even if it's historically, it's just amazing what goes on at the display show. So it's incredible.
Sitting to my right is Big Ed. Hello, Mr. Ed. How are you today?
Good morning, afternoon. How are we all?
Good. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to be here.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we have the live studio audience that's sitting here.
Hey, look at him! Woo! Yeah.
You know, the amazing thing about that, Mr. Bachman was actually on time today. He caught the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Jeez.
He usually makes that late, nice approach so we can see him coming in by himself. But he's here.
Yeah, that's right. And, of course, we have Zach today, guys, pulling the levers at the station. So don't say anything bad about Zach for the next hour, Ed. I know how you are about that.
Eric.
Guys, today on the show, we have to thank our good friend Cam Edwards for jumping on last week. You know, I talked to him after. What a true patriot. I mean, he has devoted his life to protecting the Second Amendment and getting the messages out there and stuff. And such a good guy. It's always good to talk to him.
And not only is that, he's relied on by some of the other big, like the Reload. They do a lot of stories, and he's the one that they interview for those. He's just really knowledgeable, and just what a wonderful human being too.
He is good guy. Still a chance he might move to Columbus, he said, though, if this whole Virginia thing don't work out.
Yeah, that Virginia thing.
Guys, today on the show, I am super excited. I'm already worried about not having enough time with our guest at 12:30, Mr. Jeff Asher. You may not recognize his name, but you certainly will recognize his work. He's a statistician who focuses on crime in the U.S. And it's not just about, murders or downs in the city. He takes it and looks at many different angles on why crime may fluctuate in a particular city or across the country, and his work is fascinating. I went down the rabbit hole the last couple of nights, and wow, there was a lot to it than just picking up a number on a piece of paper. So we're super excited to have him on the show, and you're not going to want to miss that conversation. That's going to be at 12:30. Before that, JC has some news, and there's no gun of the week this week because we have too many announcements. We're going to announce a couple things, and then at 12:50, Big Ed, if you're ready again, if you're up on it, we're going to do a drawing again. This one, if you'll remember last week, we did it for the Daniel defense, the H9 pistol. And we already sold a bunch of tickets this week for the OA defense. That's a 2011 kind of like what's popular right now with Kimber and some of these other manufacturers and Wilson. It's a 2011 that is gorgeous. It retails for $2,400, and we're going to do that drawing at the end of the show again. So now, there was, after the show ended last week, we went back and I saw who actually won the raffle last weekend. I don't know, but I think there was some shenanigans going on because the person that won it, I went back and looked, and I saw him talking to my son last week, hugging my wife, and all of a sudden, he's the winner of the gun.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
yeah, but we saw it here.
He slipped me that $100 too. Didn't help.
Oh yeah. No, actually, the winner last week couldn't have gone to a nicer guy, and so that was
special
super cool.
Individual. Yeah.
Yes. Actually, it's an individual who's been on the show before, too, so we'll just leave it at that. But 12:50, we're going to do the drawing for the OA Defense. Someone's going to win the $2,400 OA Defense. I'd like to thank our sponsors, U.S. Law Shield, who I'm looking at right now. They're up there with the table up on the range. If you have any questions for them, Jackson Egress Windows, Blackwing Shooting Center, River's Edge Cutlery, and, of course, LEPD Training Facility, all who make the show possible each week. If you missed the show, if you miss it today, you can always catch the podcast. It's out there pretty quick after the show on 610 WTVN. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's really any place you get your podcast. It is out there. If we don't get kicked off, we're also on Facebook and YouTube. Nothing. That is why JC is sitting on his hands today.
Yeah, I'm going to have a crime line, do not cross, so I can't touch anything. Yes. By the way, that 2011, for people who don't know, that's the new terminology for a 1911, except it's a double stack. So when the old 1911 held 7 to 8 round magazines, and the new one holds many more.
Yeah, ton. So that's what 22 round, something like that. So. Craziness. If you have a question for us, you can always shoot us an email at OnTarget at lepd.com through the week. And actually, it's funny you say that because someone sent us a question that we're going to get to after the first break.
Okay.
And stuff. So, JC, with all of that, what do you have for us?
Well, there's 3 really big stories out there. One I just discovered, that's why I was a little bit late coming here just today. It involves the Supreme Court. So I might as well hit that one first, although it's on my last page. So yesterday, Friday afternoon, the Supreme Court of the United States met in conference to decide whether or not to hear the petition that would on whether or not California has the right to ban anything but 10-round magazines. I mean, this was a big deal. They passed a law in 2017 that you could not own any magazine that held more than that. And when you think about it, every single thing we seem to get anymore, even 22s now have, 16-round magazines. So California banned it, and it was challenged, and it's worked its way up. And the in-bank Ninth Circuit, that means the full kit and caboodle, I don't know, 13 or 15 people or so, judges, said nope, that it was within the historical traditions of regulation, But now the Supreme Court is going to decide whether or not to hear the petition. So they're going to look on whether or not a ban on the possession of commonly owned ammunition feeding devices, in other words, magazines, violates the Second Amendment, and forcibly disposing lawful owners of such magazines without compensation. Because they said, nope, we're going to take them. You can't have them. You either throw them away or, we're going to take your magazines. So this is a big deal. So if the court grants a review, they say it's going to be the first major test of Bruin in a post-Bruin magazine case. So it pits historic tradition analysis against modern firearms technology and rights. So this is whether or not they're going to decide. So millions of Americans, large capacity magazines aren't exotic. They come with every rifle, a handgun. That look at the one we have even today.
Don't touch it.
Don't touch it. But what holds 20, 21, 22 rounds? I mean, it would. They could, if this passed, different states. Now again, this would only affect the Ninth Circuit, but that doesn't mean all the blue states, and there are many, many, many of those, could go, oh, really? Then we could start doing that, and it would affect millions and millions of lawful Americans if this happens. So they're used,
about time they do that. I mean, this is kind of long overdue. We've talked about it for a long time.
And Heller has reinforced this common use language. If it's in common use, and this is in common use, there's over 200 million magazines out there that hold more than 10 rounds. I mean, that is a lot. So that's why it's important. So if the Supreme Court happens to deny the petition, then the Ninth Circuit Court ruling stands and the ban remains constitutional in that circuit. But a grant would then set the stage for the Supreme Court briefing and potentially an argument later on. So they're not going to decide everything. They're going to decide whether or not they want to entertain this case. But it's really, really, really going to be important, and I'm certain it's going to affect everybody in this room and hundreds of millions of gun owners across the United States. So that's a big story. So, all right, we'll keep you apprised of that. Another good news, I think, for veterans, this has been around for 30 years. So after a 30-year-old federal government policy that disarmed certain veterans without any kind of conviction or any kind of judicial determination, they stopped these veterans from buying or even possessing firearms. And what are you talking about? This came about in the Clinton administration. And what they decided is, because Clinton, the anti-gun, take guns away from everybody, they found out that certain veterans were needing some help from a fiduciary standpoint in managing their benefits. I mean, maybe they lost fingers on their writing hand. Who knows what happened? But what they decided back then in the Clinton administration was that people that needed help from a fiduciary, they called them adjudicated as a mental defective. And who did such adjudication? I've talked about this way before. I've talked about this for years, but I always thought that means it had to go before somebody. Nah, they could have a clerk say, hey, if you got somebody else who's signing that instead of the veteran themselves, hit this button. It goes right to the FBI's NICS file, the National Instant Criminal Background Check System. And if they ever tried to buy a gun, it would come up negative. You are denied simply because of that. So finally, under the Trump administration, we have a new secretary, Doug Collins, who just said, look, this is ridiculous. The previous policy initiated by Clinton administration was an injustice that needed to be corrected to ensure that veterans get the same due process and constitutional rights as all Americans. So they're going to take a look at the ones that have been, and guess what, they already have 63,503 veterans who have been denied their constitutional rights.
Wow!
Now, some may stick because if you're addicted to drugs, and or if you have had mental issues that have been adjudicated properly by a physician or felony conviction, then you wouldn't get it. But they're going to go back and take a look, and this is great news for the veterans of our country.
Wow.
So,
JC, talk about the ATF real quick. That is
this is really good
news.
This is another big story.
When do we ever say good news with ATF?
Well, since Trump has become, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, all these spot checks we were getting, they ended up stopping about 700 of the agents from doing these, just dropping in and trying to find whether you dotted a T or dotted an I or crossed a T. Well, so now they're focusing on something new. So the refocused ATF has now seized about over 36,000 guns and over 2.3 million rounds of ammunition because they were illegal firearms, and they are now attacking not the lawful citizens, but they are going after the cartels and and gangs that have been stealing and taking these firearms. So instead of attacking the lawful firearms owners, they have shifted their focus. So Trump, it's really, really important that he did this. So Trump just said we need to highlight efforts to curb the use of firearms in street crime and by the cartel. So the ATF permanent director nominee, and it looks like things should be smooth sailing because even the Democrats think he's good. He's a current deputy director, and his name is Robert Sadaka, said the agency is aggressively pursuing what he described as the sprawling networks of domestic and international criminal organizations who traffic illegal firearms in and out of the country. So he said the agents are aggressively attacking these folks, and they're going to continue to do this and stop the streets from being into a war zone. So, but that's what.
That's good.
No,
and then
you're not going to see CNN or any of these other folks talk about, hey, what a great thing Trump's doing. The ATF's now taking 36,000 guns away from criminals and gangs. Yeah.
And I've talked to buddies within ATF, and they said, they're relieved. They said it is night and day with how it was before. Night and day. And they all said that this new ATF director that's going to get nominated is phenomenal. They did. So the bad thing is, another 4 years if the presidential election goes another way.
They would have to do something different because he's going to be like a permanent director. The rest of them have been appointed.
Okay, good.
And this will only be the third permanent director in 20 years at the ATF. So, plus, he's liked by both sides right now because he's focusing on crime and not doing the political stuff. So.
JC, well, let's jump to a break. On the other side, we're going to get to we're going to get to some housekeeping around here. Some kind of neat stuff going
my broom.
on.
So,
perfect.
Okay, all right.
Perfect. We're on Target Broadcasting Live from the studios of LAPD Firearms and Range. We'll be back after the break.
2025.
Iran must now make peace. If they do not,
you don't let that get out.
So, but that's pretty amazing. 36,000 illegal. So I wonder what they are and what made them illegal and where.
I know. You wonder what that's from.
Yeah, I wonder if did they find him at Ed's house? That's what I was interested in. So, okay,
don't tell anybody.
No, that's a lot.
Okay, we come in.
It is a lot. I don't have enough room for all that.
So we'll spend the rest of the segment talking about the clock days, the ammo price increases, the Byrna, and a couple other things.
Oh, that's...
The Byrna's making news again?
Coming out with the new, the small one they came out with now, they're going to have an XL version, so you can use the full-size 12-gram CO2 cartridges. The thing hits at 410 feet per second.
Wow.
And good out to 60 feet. That's incredible.
And it break the side windows of cars in the kinetic form. I just see them just shattered. It is amazing. Amazing.
Yep. And
it's legal in all 50 states.
I don't want to. So far, I don't want to give a spoiler, but my mama shot one this week.
Oh, she did.
Mm-hmm.
At your father?
Here. No.
Oh, okay.
Here.
All right. I didn't know. Yeah, I just want to make that clear.
That's why Phil's not here.
He was here.
He was limping.
Yeah, he was wiping his eyes. He seemed to be crying.
Hey, Eric, you guys got 20 seconds before weather.
20 seconds before the weather.
Okay. Now we have like 17. But, yeah.
Ella gives us a countdown from 11.
Yeah. So.
Ella's better than me. I'm not going to lie. So.
Nah, I'm teasing, yeah.
No, he's not.
This is a big deal. I'm waiting to see what they decide whether or not to accept that certiorari.
Here we go. ABC 6 first warning weather for today. Partly to mostly cloudy skies, high of 44. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies, low of 29. Sunday, scattered snow showers are likely. Yikes, once again, breezy, high of 35. Currently 37 degrees on your severe weather station, News Radio 610 WTVN.
The latest headlines and breaking news when it happens. News Radio 610 WTVN.
You know what this is? You know what this is, JC?
I hear it. No, I do not.
Okay, it is by, I don't know what the song is.
Okay.
But the artist is mostly more important. It is by somebody, it's actually by an artist, Ed, who has been on our show. It is, he still has a designation as the only rap artist who has been on OnTarget Radio.
Really? I do remember that guy.
Goes by the name of Twista.
Mr.
Twista, if you'll remember, wrote a song called Glock.
Glock, yeah.
Remember a rap song called Glock? And he was on our show. He's actually a very big Second Amendment proponent out of Chicago, does a lot to teach youth about gun safety. And we tried to get the Glock song on, but it was a little bit obscure. So I was doing it for Glock days, but we thought at least we'll get a little Twista in there. So
probably their theme song. We could probably get it up here at the guy who's displaying the Glocks.
There you go.
Which you need
do you remember in that song he went through and his goal was to name every Glock model?
Yeah, that's a big goal. That would have been a long song right there.
It was. Guys, welcome back to OnTarget. I'm your host, Eric, joined today in the LAPD studios. I got JC and Ed sitting up here with me. We have Glock days today. We have the Glock reps up there ready to give you ammunition to go shoot the Glock Gen 6s on the range. Why wouldn't you want to do that?
Yeah.
And check that out. U.S. Law Shield's up there. They're bringing food in. NRA's up there. We're going to talk to them in the coming weeks because there is a big election this fall regarding a lot of positions, including the governor's race. But firearms is a big topic here that honestly I don't think our side is doing enough to talk about.
We are not
to differentiate. So. I'm glad they're up there today helping to spread that. We always say if you have a question, send an email to ontarget@lepd.com. And John did that this week, JC, and he asked a question, and I told him, I said, look, no, I'm not going to answer you, but I'm going to answer you on air because we get this question all the time in here. And his question to us was, he had, I think it was his father passed recently. His mom has all these firearms, didn't know what to do with them, and his question was, can she legally give them to the kids or sell them? And I said, absolutely.
Absolutely.
That is the thing. Now, in his question, he said some are registered, some are not, which, as you know, there's no gun registry.
In Ohio. In Ohio, yeah. Other states, yes. In Ohio, no.
But sometimes people, I think, get confused on that. If it was bought at a gun store and you did a background check, they think that means that it's registered, and it's not. It is tied to their name, because of the background check, but there's no registry. So the way the law reads is that you can give them away or sell them to somebody within Ohio as long as you have reason to believe they can otherwise pass the background check.
Right.
So there's nothing you have to do. Now, what we encourage people to do, we get a lot of people who are doing transactions with someone maybe they don't know, and you're welcome to give us a heads up and come into the store, and we can do it as a transfer. You have to pay the transfer fee, but we take that into our books, and then we do a background on the person buying it, which is absolutely fine. So we just did 2 or 3 of those this week alone. So, but John, just want to let you know that you are good to go.
Yep.
Your mom can pass those down to the kids.
That puts a lot of people's minds at ease when they can do that background check like that.
It is, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, especially if they're doing a transaction with somebody else, and maybe they got top dollar out of it because they're selling it to someone who is
different states. For example, you can't do that in Pennsylvania for a handgun. You actually have to go to the sheriff's department and transfer your gun to your son or daughter or whoever. That's just the way it works in different states. But here, fortunately, Ohio, we don't have that. I always ask, hey, is there any, just so I make a note of it, are you under any kind of a firearms disability? They could be lying to me, but I have no way of doing a NIC check. Yep. But, if they seem legitimate, and always make sure you see their driver's license, especially for a handgun, and make sure that they are an Ohio resident, because you can't sell something out of state, a handgun, to someone out of state. So just simple precautions that you can do like that.
All the more reason to vote when it's time to vote.
Absolutely.
Because we are fortunate in Ohio to have these laws how they are. So just it goes back to the voting once again. Guys, other things that are going on, of course, we have the Glock days today. We have a Glock raffle going on that we're going to do at the end of the day. Tickets are real cheap, $20 a ticket, and so jump in and get in on that. We have a raffle we're drawing for at the end of the show, Ed. We talked about that for the OA defense. What else? Get this, John. We've been sitting on this for a while now, but Byrna officially announced a new version of their CL. Now, their CL just flies off the shelf. Yeah. It's their smaller version, 61-gram projectile coming out of that. They came out with the Byrna CLXL now.
Yeah,
and
61 caliber. 61 caliber.
Yeah, 61 caliber, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it allows you to put in the 12-gram CO2 cartridges, which ups the feet per second to 410.
Yeah.
I mean, that is flying out at 410 feet per second now. Effective range up to 60 feet.
It's amazing, and with the right ammo, when you have that combination of tear gas and the pepper spray all in one little ball, it can really truly disable someone for like 30 minutes. That gives you time to shoot your intruder, go to McDonald's, get a meal, and come back, and time to sit there and wait for the police to arrive. So
it is, and this new version is also coming with the 7-round extended mag as well. So really, they are continuing to be.
And why that's important is 8-gram cartridges are really scarce and hard to find, but the 12-gram, I mean, that's going around everywhere. So.
One last thing, guys, before we go into a break, ammo prices. We just got notified this week they're going up. And they said a lot of it is tariff related. And just to relate what that means, it's going up at least 50 cents a box for 9mm. So you can extrapolate that out. Might be a little bit more than that depending on the manufacturer, but we are starting to see that firsthand. So
at least, so.
Watch for that coming up. Guys, I think that is all of the...
So why are we having tariff prices on ammo if we buy ammo that's made in the USA?
Because some of it's not. Some of it is some of the best ammo that we use on the range isn't made in the USA. The USA one, unfortunately, they price themselves out of the market a lot of times. So we'll see. Maybe this brings them back in that mix. But some of the most popular brands aren't made here. So, guys, let's jump to a break. On the other side, we're going to talk to Jeff Asher, who is does a lot of analytics around crime.
His job will be safe for quite a while.
Yeah, absolutely. OnTarget, broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Farms Range. We'll be back after the break.
Get Eco.
Hey, Jerry.
If we have time for a fun story afterwards, this one's really...
Jeff Asher's on hold, just FYI.
Perfect. Hey, Mr. Zach, we'll probably go a little long here, probably to 49-ish, if that doesn't give you too much heartache.
No, not at all. Whatever. I'm good with anything. So
perfect. You know what? Hey, you know what? Commercials. No commercial. Like Ella usually just does away with the commercials for us and just lets us run free.
None of that's true. That's true.
What's that?
None of that's true. He said.
We got to be easier than the prima donnas of Chuck and Blazer, right?
I'll tell you, Chuck and Blazer it's just a miserable work
experience.
You guys got 15 seconds, by the way.
Oh, that's 15. It? Perfect.
Yeah,
all right.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Never mind. You have 2 minutes and 15 seconds. I read it.
See, I can't believe that. You know,
and 15
I was already. I started my voice prep.
2 minutes and 15. Okay.
The screen, like what comes up on the system, is just a different order that I'm used to. So I was like, no.
I figured there's some news in there. People got to hear the news from Akron or whatever they play on the weekends.
Akron.
They take it from like all of Ohio, and so if you listen to the news on the weekends, it's like, police went to a fire on Lindsay Road in Akron today. I'm like,
well,
okay. Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, so Mr. Asher's up next.
Got a couple other stories.
So we'll end like at 49 or 50. Yeah. We'll come back. We can do stories, and they'll just save enough time. We'll probably do the drawing, and then we can do stories up to the end.
Cool.
So, I meant to tell you that.
But it's just fun. It's a fun one.
Did you ever see that from last week? We need to talk about that one.
I did, but it was plastic. And
no, I think it's metal.
For that price, that's
crazy. I think it's metal.
Oh, okay, I didn't open it. It's open. I just saw it was a tear. So, okay.
Or is it metal? Or is it?
No, it looks metal. Feels metal. Sounds metal. Yeah, it's metal. Should be for that price.
And that's just so you can put an optic on it.
Yeah, for those some people it really, really helps. Talk to a couple of customers in there who said they can't see their front sights anymore. What do I do? And they have revolvers, and unless you want to have it all milled out, which would be just you have to buy something new. There's only a few revolvers that accept optics now. There are a couple, and hey, that's one thing. Speaking of revolvers, I was surprised that who we had on last week said they really liked revolvers a lot. So I was very, very, surprised at that. And then, who else?
There's a trend now.
Yeah.
Do you know
revolvers are back?
The young guys around here are doing like revolver Sundays at work.
All right, now we got 10 seconds.
Okay.
Now we're ready. I'm going to run to the restroom real quick. Just kidding.
From LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today in the LAPD studio. I got my good friends, JC and Ed, both sitting here. Zach pulling the levers back at the station. What more could I want? Guys, our next guest is a nationally recognized crime analyst and co-founder of AH Diagnostics, or Data Links. Geez. He writes a weekly newsletter that I get in my inbox all the time, and that's on Substack. And then he's also the host of Jeff Analytics podcast, a show that is about measuring crime data and the trends in that. His work is absolutely fascinating, and we're thrilled to have him on the show for the first time. Welcome, Jeff.
Hey.
Look, sir, I am so happy to have you on. I will tell you, though, and I usually don't start out by giving our guests grief, especially ones that are new. But you've been responsible for 2 sleepless nights back-to-back for me here, listening to your podcast and getting caught up on all the different newsletters.
Well, I appreciate that. And everyone out there listening should definitely give it a listen. So this has been a good advertising already.
And I'll tell you what, this is the truth. Friday and Saturday nights for me, I go home, I kick back. It's the one time I turn on Live PD, and I'm not embarrassed to say I sit there for a couple hours and watch Live PD. You can ask my wife last night. It did not get turned on. I was sitting there, and she said, well, what are you doing? I'm like, shh, I'm listening to Jeff's podcast again. But they're fascinating. I mean, and I'm kind of, I guess, a little bit of a statistics nerd without being a statistician. And it's just really, really interesting to hear some of the behind the scenes on it.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's, you put something out, and I'm sure it's kind of like being on the radio, and you aren't sure if there's anybody out there listening, so it's nice to just sort of hear the feedback that, there was actually someone there.
Yes, and for us in the show, I know I always have my mom listening, so we always at least have one person. So, you tend to build on those
things. I tell my wife, yeah. I get credit for a download if you listen for 1 minute, so I don't care if it's on mute, just, you have to turn it on for 1 minute. And listen to it, so I at least have one person I know I'll get credit for.
Perfect. Well, Jeff, for those who don't know you or haven't seen some of your work, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started. And I know the Substack started in late 2020. How did you get here?
Yeah, so I'm in New Orleans right now, a lovely 80-something degrees in New Orleans. And so I was born and raised here, went to college in Texas, moved up to D.C., was at D.C. for 7 years, working for the federal government for 5 years, CIA for 5 years, and the Defense Department for a year, and then decided to move back home. And when you're kind of in D.C., everybody's a master's degree, everybody knows how to analyze, everybody's got these fancy, the same experience. And in New Orleans, nobody does. And so I was able to get a job with the police department as their first crime analyst that they'd had in decades. And so they had no idea what to do with an analyst. I was there for about 18 months to 2 years, and then started my own thing. And a lot of doing my own thing has been sort of, I'd worked for large faceless bureaucracies and needed to be able to talk about things and to develop my own persona. And so I started to write about it locally, and then started to write more national stuff about just crime data and analysis. And this was probably a decade ago when we first started to see sort of larger fluctuations in the national murder rate. And so how can we measure these things? How can we understand? The FBI's crime data is so slow historically and so difficult to get at that, you're talking about analyzing January 2015 data when they released the 2015 data in September 2016. So that's useless. And so developing measurement capabilities that allow us to, how do you analyze anything without understanding just, it's going up or it's going down, and there's no other field that I can think of where there's like, it's fine, we'll measure it in a couple of years and it'll be fine.
Right, and it doesn't take long, especially when you start reading some of your publications. It doesn't take long to realize the complexities in it. It's not cut and dry. I mean, it's very complicated when you start to delve into these, not just on the city level, but then taking that out on a national level. How do you even begin to diagnose and predict the crime? I mean, talk about some of the methodology. Where do you begin, or what's in your wheelhouse?
Honestly, we largely begin in one of two ways. One is the question, and I want to know X. One of the things I'm working on right now is I want to be able to develop. It's actually a good example of sort of the work process. Is I want to be able to track in the cities that produce shooting data in an automated manner. How do we know each day how many shooting victims there have been sort of year to date? And so that's kind of the question. And then from there, it's, well, where is the data? And typically in a lot of cities, some cities have pretty good shooting data, and some cities don't have good shooting data. And so I can go out and figure out that, like, Chicago and Philadelphia and some other places like Cincinnati have really good data, victim-level data that I can download each day, whereas other places put it in a very difficult-to-access location. So how do we build this tool to analyze it? And so it starts with the question, and then you figure out the data, and then you can do the analysis and what is the data actually showing. And so there's all of this sort of bottom level work that has to go into it in order to just be able to say, hey, I want to know, are shootings going up or down? And it sounds like an easy question, but it requires a lot of sort of back end work.
Jeff, do you find that, I mean, a couple of things. Can you trust the data? I mean, I always go back to the Uniform Crime Report, where so many years, so many agencies didn't report into it. So, oh, look, crime's down, but we excluded Chicago and L.A. and New York.
Sometimes less than 50% of the police departments submit it. So what do you do with that? And I don't even print them out because there wasn't enough cooperating.
And then also to that, as far as being able to trust the data, like right here in Columbus, there's been allegations that, going forward, a murder doesn't mean a murder. What constitutes a murder? And so are you constantly battling those things as you're trying to sift through it all?
Yes, and we always have to be aware of, even before we get to police departments having difficulty reporting or anything with the FBI, we know that certain types of crime are systemically underreported. So your thefts, sex offenses, rapes, and sexual assaults. We just know that for rapes and sexual assaults, it's like a quarter of those get accurately reported to police based on the National Crime Victimization Survey. We know that something like a third of thefts get reported to police. So our assumption for many crimes is that the bottom line number is it's inherently wrong. So the question is not, were there 2,142 thefts or 2,182 thefts? Is that number appreciably going up or down? And if it's up by 0.5%, we're going to say, okay, that's about even, because we know that there's uncertainty in that number. Beyond that, you run into this all the time. This is something when I was looking into first analyzing DC data. You look at the data on the DC public portal, and the first thing that jumps out is that the DC doesn't publish, its public data doesn't match the UCR standard. It matches the DC criminal code, which they're under no legal obligation to publish crime data. They've been doing this for a long time. It's not the choice I would make, but they're not the only place to publish kind of differently from what the FBI asks them to do when they're sending their data up. But you could very quickly compare the data that they're reporting to the FBI, which appears to be accurate, with the data they're reporting on their public feed, and say there's something weird with a couple of categories in their public feed. It probably has to do with the categorization that they're doing on their side. It's not trustworthy for understanding the trends. And that's kind of an extreme example. You guys brought up the underreporting of agencies and that was an issue of the FBI has its old system that they've got since 1930 called the Summary Reporting System. In 2015, they said every agency by the end of 2020 or the start of 2021 is going to have to switch to this new system. And it's new, but it's actually a system that's been around since the late 80s. Everybody has to switch to this system by the start of 2021, or we're not going to accept your data. And so they went from, in 2020, 2020, about 95% of the country reporting under the old system to around 60% of the country reporting on the new system in 2021. And the FBI realized, oh, we've made a mistake. Oh crap, this is bad. It led to 2021 estimates that were really bad, and they were very unreliable. And because if you go from predicting your numbers from almost 100% to predicting from only 60% of your sample, you're going to struggle. And so the FBI backtracked basically, and in 2022 said, hey, everybody can report. And so when they reported the 2022 numbers, they were back up. I think they were at like 92 or 93% of reporting. And so it was a serious issue. Fortunately, it created an asterisk year, but it only created one asterisk year because the FBI realized that it was a mistake. So that at least we can see that, we can understand that, and we're now several years beyond that. And that's not an issue with analyzing the data.
And Jeff, you're so right. We're talking to Jeff Asher, crime analyst. You're so right on some of the discrepancies. I mean, we pointed it out right here in Columbus, where the local media reported, and I don't forget what the number was, last year we only had 100 murders, and we go out to the Uniform Crime Report, and Columbus reported 125 murders. And like, wait a second, there's something here. So I knew there's always more to this story. And unfortunately, I don't know if politics comes into that or policy, some of these departments, but it is not just, you can't just take it on the surface all the time. Let's talk about 2025. It's getting a ton of press out there, and I mean, it looks positive as far as some of the big crime numbers going down. And I've listened to some of your podcasts and some of your publications and stuff, and there's all kinds of theories. What's your gut? I mean, is it just the natural trends of crime? Is it law and order now is back since COVID? Is it? I saw one theory about it's the we're better at the hospitals now. People aren't dying when they're coming in with gunshot wounds, which you dispelled that in one of your publications, I think. Tell us your thoughts on those.
So I definitely don't think it's the hospital improved trauma care. One, we're seeing massive drops in murder and shooting victims, and we see this through various sources, independent sources, the CDC, the FBI data, the Gun Violence Archive data. We see it in enough sources to know, okay, this is a trustworthy decline in shooting victims. And we know that if you measure kind of city by city, the share of shooting victims that die has not changed appreciably in the last 15 years. So we know that it's not a trauma care thing. My gut, and I'll say, we don't know why murder fell in the 90s. Kind of like, I know that the Broncos, oh my God, who won the Super Bowl? I'm suddenly blanking on who won the Super Bowl. I know who won the Super Bowl in general. If I look it up, I'll know. It is a knowable fact. Yeah, it was the Seahawks. There we go. That is a knowable fact. We don't know why it fell in the 90s, and so it's very premature to say why it's falling now. The challenge that's the primary challenge. You have to explain a lot when you explain it, and you have to explain a lot that doesn't necessarily neatly fit on a left-right political spectrum. So it clearly the decline started in 2023. We had historic declines in 2023 and 2024, and that continued into 2025. So the stuff that really caused this is probably things that happened in 2021, 2022 timeframe, because this is like a big ship. It doesn't turn around quickly. We know that it's extremely widespread. It's big cities, it's little cities, it's the suburbs, it's rural counties, it's everywhere that this is occurring. We know that kind of you hear a lot of activists will talk about we need to fix the root causes of crime. We need to fix education. We need to fix poverty. And we didn't fix that all of a sudden. It's just that we're seeing huge declines in shootings. And so it's happening without sort of the root causes getting fixed as a prerequisite. We know that gun sales are still elevated, significantly elevated from where they were 5 or 6 years ago. So this is not a gun control, people have less guns, that's not the answer. And we know that lots of police departments are still struggling with their staffing. Pretty much every medium and large police department lost tons of officers from 2019 through 2022, and most of them have struggled to grow at all and are much smaller. So it's not like the 90s where we hired a ton of officers and then all of a sudden you had a plausible explanation for why you had this great crime decline.
Right.
So when we combine all of that, the things that stand out to me, there's two things. One, there was an enormous investment in communities, largely from the federal government, but also from state governments in the immediate aftermath of the pandemic. And this investment in communities was a huge increase in infrastructure, so things like street lighting in neighborhood and social centers, in public safety infrastructure, things that we know that we didn't invest in street lighting because we wanted to reduce crime, but we know that if you improve street lighting, it leads to less crime. If you get people together and give them a place to congregate, it leads to fewer opportunities for crime to occur. So that's, I think, one explanation. The other explanation is for a lack of a better term, it's just that society is healing. The pandemic was an enormous stress on all of us, and that stress has gone away. And so when we look at unrelated things to murder, like traffic accident deaths, like drug overdose deaths, like suicides, like alcohol-related deaths, those things are plunging in a very similar manner, and you look at the charts of those things, and they all look the same. And so that suggests a much broader, it's not some city did something, some politician did something. It's just that we as a society are healing from a shared trauma, and that helps to explain maybe that we're getting back to where we probably might have already been going if we hadn't had the pandemic. So
wow.
I don't feel insanely strongly about that, but that's kind of the things that when I answer the why, that comes to mind.
Our theory here is real simple: more guns, less crime.
Less crime. There you go.
So what cities are in the hot seat as far as with the highest crime?
I mean, it's a tough question to answer because one, it's always going to be St. Louis because of the way St. Louis its borders are drawn in such a way that only the part with crime is in St. Louis City itself. So you've got a metro area of 2.5 million people or so, and only about 270,000 of them fit in the actual city borders. The rest are sort of the county of St. Louis and all these other independent cities. So whenever you talk about the highest crime rates, the highest murder rates, it's almost always St. Louis because of the poor way that we conceptualize rates and city borders, and so that's a challenge. It's also a challenge because you look at where I am in New Orleans. New Orleans technically had the nation's second or third highest murder rate last year, something like the 35th straight year with the top five murder rate in the top five. New Orleans has also seen a 60% drop in its murder rates in the last 3 years. So it's gone from a murder rate of like 73 per 100,000 to 32 per 100,000. Wow. It had the fewest murders since 1970 last year. So you've seen an enormous drop in violence, but if you're only comparing it to other cities and not against itself, you're maybe getting an inaccurate picture of what's actually happening.
Wow.
That's fascinating.
Jeff, unfortunately, we are up against the clock. There were so many things I wanted to get to. We're going to have you back, but a couple of the things for people out there listening. If you want to learn about apps like Wallet Hub, where they tell you some of the safest cities, Jeff has a fascinating piece out there on some things to consider with that. There was an awesome podcast you did with Dara Lind on immigrants and how their crime rate is calculated. That's a great listen. And so we definitely got to have you back. How do people find you out there?
Yeah, Jeffalytics is my newsletter, jasher.substack.com, and the Jeffalytics podcast, it's on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Give it a listen. I'll also give a quick plug to the Real-Time Crime Index, which is my project of gathering data from, we have 580 cities of data that's able to track national crime trends as they develop.
Wow,
excellent.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And as an added bonus, when you're out there flipping around, you can also find one of the most watched SNL episodes of all times.
Oh.
Jeff will get a kick out of that.
Okay.
I know he did a story on that. Jeff, thank you so much for jumping on with us. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Guys,
Bye-bye.
guys, let's jump to a break. On the other side, we're going to do our drawing for the OA Defense. On Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms Range. We'll be back right after the break.
info on the go with Columbus's Morning News.
How does he figure? For example, I just saw that the wonder mayor of New York City is canceling 5,000 new recruits.
I saw that.
So, how does the number of police versus crimes reported? I mean, if no one answers the call, if there's not enough people I don't know what happens. You have 5,000 less police officers. It's got to have an effect on crime reporting, I would think, or even responding. I don't know how that works, but I was always curious about that. 5,000, that's a lot. I know they got a big force, and I don't know how many they have, 15,000, whatever, but he just said he canceled 5,000.
I saw that. They're going to cancel him.
Well, that would be a great idea to happen immediately.
JC, how much did you go? Did you go and read some of his stuff last night? I mean, it was fascinating.
When I found this story. So I was typing stuff up. But no, I looked him up, put him on there. I can't believe I said John this morning, but I was thinking of John Lott because he had some stats I was looking at too. But anyway. I mean, it is interesting. I kind of like to figure out how they do that. Why everything is so slow.
Some of the podcasts, the one I listened to.
You guys got about 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
The one I listened to with that Dara Lind from Immigration. She was fascinating and stuff. Look who's in the house there, Mr. D. Steele. Your ABC 6 for 20 weather today. Partly to mostly cloudy skies. High of 44 tonight. Mostly cloudy skies. Clouds are going to roll in. Low of 29. Sunday, scattered snow showers are likely. Breezy. High of 35. Currently 40 degrees on your severe weather station. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Number 1 for news, traffic, weather, and talk. News Radio 610 WTVN.
We don't need that sound.
This is like Blazer music or something. I don't know. Welcome back to OnTarget. I'm your host, Eric. Joined today in the LEPD studios. I got JC to my left. I got Big Ed to my right. And, of course, I got the live studio audience here for Block Day.
Live studio. Yeah.
Guys, it is time to do the calling.
It's for the
OA defense. Why don't you?
This is a big deal. This is a big.
Let's put your hand in there and see what you get. First name only there, Edward.
First name only.
Okay, the winner of the 2011, I think they actually called it the 2311 OA Defense $2,400 retail value. What is the first name of the winner, Ed?
Victor,
if you threw your hat in the ring on this, expect a call soon.
Yeah.
Victor is the winner.
Victory is his. Yeah.
I'm kind of jealous, Ed. You didn't pull my name out of there. We have a winner. It is being handed over, as you can see on camera here. We don't want any break of connection there. Chain of custody. It is going to be. Do we know him? Okay, perfect. Guys, what a packed show. There was so much stuff we didn't even get to. Great to have Jeff on there. What are you looking for there?
I need his website.
Jeff Asher. If you Google him, I didn't write it down. Asher.
Yeah, Jeff Analytics.
Jeff Analytics, yes. It is definitely worth going out there and checking him out. It's really a good guy and doing some really, really good work. Guys, if you haven't stopped by yet, stop by here. We're doing everything, I think, until 4 or 4:30. Glock Days is here. U.S. Law Shield is here. NRA's here. Ed's here. What more could you want? Next week, we're going to catch up on some news.
We got some news.
We still have a couple leftover things from SHOT Show we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about flashlights at some point here the next couple weeks. There's so much.
That's a bright idea. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
we have a lot of stuff to talk about.
But I think there's a couple of stories we didn't even get to today.
And I definitely want to hit the one because it's fun. It's kind of crazy, but it's fun. Jeff Analytics, by the way, there's a dash between Jeff and Analytics. So if you're looking it up, it's Jeff-Analytics.
Jeff Analytics.
Perfect. Jeff Analytics.
Get that, Cindy?
Guys, thanks for spending the last hour with us. We'll be back next week. Stop by and see us. We're on target, and as always, let's be careful out there.
Careful.
Number 1 on your car radio preset and the new and improved iHeartRadio app.
Sorry about that, Zach. I didn't know if you were going to play the music at the end there.
I forgot, and Ella didn't tell me, so I don't remember. Sorry about that.
What the heck? How close were we to the end? I was just eyeballing it.
No, you were fine. You're close enough that it's not a problem.
Perfect.
Don't worry about it.
Perfect. Hey, you'll have a chance to throw that out there on the podcast stuff, or is that Ella?
No, I'll get it up here in a few minutes.
Oh, wonderful. All right, then whenever you're ready, I will do a couple of the promos for next week.
I'm ready. Go for it whenever you're ready.
Here we go. This is Eric from OnTarget. This week, we keep you updated on your right to keep and bear arms, and the Gun of the Week is sponsored by Jackson Egress Windows. Tune in right here Saturday at noon or live from LEPD Studios on Bethel Road. Tune in tomorrow at noon or live from LEPD Studios on Bethel Road. Tune in today at noon or live from LEPD Studios on Bethel Road. Thank you so much, Mr. Zach. We don't need no Ella anyways.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
have a great weekend.
You tell her to just take the weekends off.
I will. She deserves some more time off. She works a lot, but
she does. How many days does she work there?
I think she's only